So that's fine. And then I'm going to share two, well, I think that's just one, but it's not this one, it's this one. Tac. And what is the chat here? So today it's practice, and we're going to do very exciting things. Just to be sure, let me see what you're seeing. Yes. So what I shared in the chat is the URL where you can find the specification of the exercise. Okay. So we need, let's do it like as if we were on TV. We need this page so that we do the exercise, well, see the instructions. You need to have your Microsoft Azure student portal open. And you also need, of course, I am going to assume that you have already created your ngrok account. So the ngrok account, once you create it, looks like this. And the thing that we are going to use is an authentication token. Okay, we will go very slowly, maybe in 2 sessions or 3 through all the exercise, but I'm just giving the general setting, okay? And then you need also your Gmail account. Now, why do we need a Google account? Because we are going to work today with at least 2 clouds, okay? So one is a service that will provide us with execution support, so infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. This will be Google. So instead of running the exercise locally in our machine, Google will provide us with an execution environment, an externalized one, in order to perform the exercise. Okay, so that you need to. And now then I said the portal, and then we will contact GitHub at some point, but that I will let you, I will tell you in a moment. Okay, is everyone on the same page? So you can react by opening your mic, or you can tell me on the chat. So everyone is, I'm going to start in the definition of the exercise, okay? And then we are going to move back and forth to the different pages as we go through the exercise, okay? Do I have questions? Did you miss anything? I don't know what you missed. So I said that you need the, do you see when new people enter the session, do you see what I post on the chat? Do you see the history? Not sure. Okay. So I'm gonna put the URL again on the chat. Tac, tac. So now you should see in the chat the site, well, the URL where I have the description of the exercise, right? Good. Okay, so if you click on it, you will see this. So I'm not going to zoom in because I'm going to suppose that you have in front of your eyes the the site, and I can guide you through it without zooming in. So the objective is to get acquainted to the use of infrastructure as a service and platform as a service cloud services, and having a look to how through the cloud we can really externalize the execution and the construction of a system thanks to this interaction with the cloud, okay? Which was the last thing that we presented the last session. So the principle is I leave and externalize everything, including my machine, my execution power, to the cloud, and I'm just going to connect through a browser and I will do all the work in these conditions. Okay, so that's the objective. You have to be in mind this, and at every moment I'm going to point through the different things. Okay, so now the to-do. We are going to build an application, a very simple application that we are going to deploy on Microsoft Azure. Okay, so what we are going to do is Microsoft Azure provides us with a service that is a server where we can deploy an application and it can run it for us. Yes, and well, we can of course access our application through an URL. Okay, that's what we're going to do. And in order to do that, in my group, my colleague and I have prepared the necessary code so that we can perform this. So first things first, we're going to go to this location. Okay, so if you go to this location on Git, you will see the. So this is my colleague Javier Espinosa, and I let you land. So don't hesitate telling me whether you stayed back at some point, so that that you do not get lost. Okay, I can repeat as many times as required, and also we can go very slowly, so there's time. Now, once you land in GitHub, remember that GitHub is a Microsoft service that lets us manage code versions. Okay, so we are going to create a Python app using Azure. Okay. Now, of course, all the description is here, but here, this is GitHub is not an execution environment. So what we're going to do is we are going to open the exercise on Collab. Okay, so now we are in GitHub, cloud service from Microsoft, and now we are going to open this code in Collab, a Google execution environment. Okay, so click please on Collab, and if you click there, well, I'm going to do this. So normally what happens is that, well, this is a dummy account that I have. I'm going to use the one from the course. So that's okay. So you are going to land in something like that. Here you will have, well, if you have your face on your account. So for those that do not know, when you have a Google account, in fact, Google provides us with many services, and these are cloud services. So we are all already users of the cloud. And one of the services that it provides, you have some of them, some of you use this, and I've been using this for the course. You have a storage environment, which is Google Drive. And there you have things. And you have another service, which is this Collab. In fact, Collab is an execution environment based on the notion, I don't know what it doesn't, it's not, you're not having a look at this. I'm going to stop sharing and share again because I realize that you do not see them. Okay. So I'm gonna stop and then share again. Okay, and now, yes. Okay. So this execution environment is based on the notion of notebook. This is a notebook. Okay, here, if you click here on the on your burger, you have here the description of the data and documents that you have stored in a file system. Okay, of course, again, the file system is provided by Azure and by Google, and normally what it does, it connects our Google Drive space with the environment. So here you have this. Here is my, well, I opened it, and for the time being, I don't have anything. And this part is the famous notebook. For those that are not familiar with the notion of notebook, a notebook is an execution environment, an interpreted environment that consists of two kinds of cells. There are cells which are textual cells. Okay, you see, you have code and you have text. And the text that you can write there is on the markdown format that you probably have used in the exercise in your other course, in the exercise of your other courses. And you have also cells that are code cells. And every cell is executable. Okay, when it is text, in fact, it interprets the format of the markdown, and you have like here a header and etc. And when it is code, it executes the code. And here it is already a Python code, so it knows that we are writing in Python, and behind the one of the Google services provided to us is the Python interpreter. Okay, so we have a running machine that I'm going to show you in a moment. We have RAM and disk, and we have the Python interpreter, and then this environment. Okay, and other things, but we will see later. So if you want to have a look at what we have available, you can click here in RAM and disk, and then you go to show resources. You see, and you have here what we are using. No, so we are using a backend Google Compute Engine with Python 3. And these resources have been allocated since 1713. And for the time being, I'm not using anything, well, very few things. It's a little bit idle because I haven't executed anything. And we are using the free trial. okay, the one provided by Google naturally. We can also manage our resources, and if you go to manage our resources, you can see that we have this machine allocated to us. The session has been connected to this GitHub space. We haven't executed anything the last minutes, and we have an allocated RAM of 80 gigabytes. And we could stop it, but we're not going to stop it because we want to execute this. Okay. Okay. Everyone on the same page until now? Cool. Very good. Excellent. Okay, so now we are going to, well, I'm going to stop going back and forth. I'm going to remain here in the, I'm going to stop this, is the Slack. Oops. And I'm going to go here, and you can see it. Okay. So the first thing we are going to do is set up our environment, okay? So the first element of our environment is a CLI environment that will let us execute commands, no? And this CLI comes from Azure. So remember that we are writing we are using Python. So if you are not acquainted with Python, yes, I'm here. It always asks you if you're here because it makes sure that they do not have idle resources running while we are just doing anything. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to install Azure CLI, and then we are going to verify the version. So if you are not acquainted with Python, you have I mean, I don't know if you're taking notes, but there are a lot of explanations in the site. Okay, so for example, instead of having a Azure CLI on local machines, this is running in some server provided by Google, and we are going to check out the version. Okay, so yes, tell me.
Hi teacher, I don't know if only I have a problem, but I can see the image in the page, in our page.
In your page. Now, can you see my, now I think that you can see my Collab space. Can you?
No, I refer to our page, the page of the course. I can see the image, for example, when it says instead of having Azure CLI, only I have a part, but I can see the image in our course. This image exactly. The C activities, the decision activities. I can see this image. I can see all the text, but the image I can see it. I don't know.
But not very much. I don't know what. Let's try it on Edge to see what whether. I mean, I to understand what you're referring to.
Yes, we actually can see the images on your site, Doctor.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're. Yes, actually, what happens is that I can see the images because I have my the executor, I mean the environment, the definition environment, but I realized that if you are out of the environment, you cannot see them. In fact, it doesn't matter because the lines are these lines, you see? So I'm going to stop using the site of the course so that you do not get lost with this. And once we will finish the lab, I will make sure that the images are there so that if you go back to the site of the course, you can see the images, okay? Right? Thank you for telling me. Okay, so I'm going to step a little step back. So first of all, we are going to implement to install this environment. So instead of installing the environment on your machines that you probably already have, we are going to install it in the server that is provided by Collab. Okay, so we are using this admiration point, which is a bang, and we are saying that we are going to install CLI first. So when you have I remember that the environment is interpreted. Do you understand what do I mean when I say it is an interpreted environment?
Yes.
Is line per
Okay,
line, right?
so that
It's executing
it
line.
doesn't execute completely, it's line by line. Okay. Exactly, exactly. Okay, so when you have to, you want to execute, so there is this little arrow that you execute. So it will tell you that this is a code coming from somewhere else, and it asks you to authorize for security reasons. So it takes a little while. And here, well, it's telling you all the things that what it's installing the CLI. Now, just to a comment, this code is inspired in an Azure tutorial. Okay, I don't know if you have, we have been receiving a lot of information from Azure because we have our student accounts. I don't know if you were curious and went to see, but well, this is a tutorial from Azure, but we changed it in order to execute it on Collab, okay? So that you could really see that there is nothing to install. And of course, in distance, for me, this is quite comfortable because this means that I do not have to help you with some technical issues proper to the installation of things in your machine. I should not even care whether you have space or your machine is prepared for installing things. Everything is externalized, and the only thing that we are needing is a browser. Okay, so from my side, it has finished. When it finishes, you will see this mark, and normally well, we will see later on, it enumerates the cells, and when the cell has a number, it says how many times you have executed different cells. Okay, this is not the order of the cells, it just said that you have executed it twice, 3 times, etc. Okay. So now let's check the version of CLI. So AZ is a command from Azure, and we are asking which is the version of what we have installed now. So you see here, it has been, sorry, here in the upper, you see a 1, no? Number 1 says it has been executed once. And now if you execute the second line to check the version, it tells you that we are using Azure CLI 2.32.0. it is using a core telemetry in order to observe the execution of our processes. It has specific management resources, etc. Okay, it's using Python in Linux, etc., etc. Okay, so now we have this installed, and now we are going to connect to Azure in order to do other things. Okay, and this is the next line. What we're going to do is connect to Azure in order to use our service. So it says to sign in, use a web browser to open the page. So if you click on the page, you will have received a code. I'm going to close this. You copy this code. I'm connecting with my UDLAB account. And yes, I want to connect to CLI in Azure. And well, certainly you will have the messages in the language of your, I'm having the messages in French because my environment is configured like this, but essentially what it says is that you have connected to the application Microsoft Azure plus Platform Command Line interface, or CLI, in our machine. Our machine is in a Google server, and we can close the window. Now, the second thing that we're going to do is prepare everything for being able to connect from outside in a secure manner. Okay, so ngrok, what it will provide is an authentication protocol that will help us connect to the server in a secure manner. Okay, and let any application see us from outside. So again, make sure that you have your ngrok already there. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to install ngrok in our environment. So it's done. And now we need to use our authentication token provided by ngrok in order to continue. So you have to go to your ngrok environment, and if you have already accessed your account, you land to setup installation, and you go down. And in number 2, connect your account, you have this token. So copy the line completely, and then we will delete on the. So we are going to substitute the token here. Do not erase the quotes, and just your token. Okay, so this is a classic variable assignment. So we have the variable ngrok alpha token, and we are associating it with our personal token. So every one of you should have one there. So I assign it, and then I will activate ngrok in order with my authentication token. And now the configuration token is stored in this address. Sorry. So if you go on the left side of your environment, you can click to the burger, and then you go to your local your file space, no? And there you can see that we have already different things. We have sample data. We have, I'm not sure that this comes from this exercise or from another one. Anyway, if you might have not exactly the same files as myself. And then you see here we downloaded zipped ngrok, the Linux ngrok, and it unzipped it. You see this line, and we unzipped this file, and it lies here. Now, until here, we have finished setting up our environment. This means having a Collab server running with CLI, Azure CLI installed, and with ngrok ready to use. And of course, Python 3, because we asked to have Python 3 to Google Collab when we open the environment. So you have, I mean, if you can picture this in your minds, there's the Google Cloud with the platform as a service Collab service that and the file system. Okay, so that's what we're having a look here, and then there's a Microsoft Azure with the CLI service running over there. Okay, and we are establishing this communication between both of them. Fine? Questions?
Good.
Excellent. So let's continue. Of course, we are not going to program anything. Yes, tell me.
Doctor, just to clarify, if every step has a tick, it means that we're good, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Yes, I mean, if there are errors, it's like a terminal. No? You will see that there were errors or warnings or things like that. Fine. Okay, so I was saying that, well, we are not going to develop the example from scratch. We are going to use a Hello World example provided by Azure, by the Azure tutorial. And this Azure tutorial lies, well, the code lies here. Again, in their GitHub, their own GitHub. So what we're going to do is we are going to clone their code. If you are not acquainted to the manipulation of code through a versioning system, and in particular to Git, someone produces code and makes it public. And then if we want to use this code, we are going to clone it either in our machine or, in our case, in this dummy server that we are using in Collab. Okay. So again, we are saying in Python that we are going to execute a JIT operation, so an operation that doesn't belong to Python, and we are going to clone the code that lies in this address. What does it mean, cloning? It means that all the files stored in this address will come to our space. And if you go, if you refresh your file system, you will discover now this folder where you have the documents of the Hello World example. And you can have a look at them. So there's an application, a Python application, a configuration file, the README that would explain the content of the code, and a license. Okay, so we have this in our working space. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we are going to install some Python dependencies required in for this example. So first of all, we are saying that we are going to go to this folder, the one here. And the percentage says that we want the result of this CD to be persistent, okay? So that it remains in the address, in the path that we specified here. If you do not put it here, it goes back to the previous path, and it doesn't direct the execution towards this space. Okay, so this is what the percentage means. So I go to this space, and then I'm going to install the requirements. So let's have a look at the requirements. What it's going to do, it is going to install Flask 1.0 or 1.1.2. Okay, so we are going to build a web application, and we are going to use Flask as a web framework that will help us build our application, our web application. So we install this, and then we will install Flask ngrok so that we can access what we're going to do thanks to the ngrok support. Okay, so we have, you can have a look at the, well, I think that later on, yes. You can double click, but here is the content of the application that we are going to put to run, okay? So the application uses Flask as support, and what it says is in a web page, it says, hello cloud. I didn't promise anything fancy. We're just going to do the hello world, and the idea is that you understand all the setting that we have here. Okay, so once we have seen this, we are going to load the examples of the code in Collab. Okay, so we are going to there's a little warning, but it doesn't matter, and have a look at what it says. It says that the application is running here. Okay, if we were running locally, we will be it would be listening at port 5000, but we are not using this because we are here in this environment, and then and it's running in this ngrok address. Okay. So let's go and have a look. So if you click, this is the address where your application is putting the result, and if you click on it, as I did, it's particular to your environment. Okay, so it says hello world. And we can do it because ngrok helped us to authenticate our process, and so we can see this on the browser. Now, for the time being, it is like having implemented something in our local machine. Okay. In this case, it is local to the server provided by Google, but it's still not running on Azure. Okay, so what we want to do is deploy it on Azure so that Azure can take care of its execution. So before continuing and seeing how to deploy this, you should stop the execution. So you click here and it stops. So there was your server that was running. The client here observed the result, and now we stopped it. And now we are going to deploy this simple application on Azure. First of all, we have to name our application. Now it's going to go to the outside. Okay, so we are going to get out of the closet, and we have to name it in a unique manner, because otherwise there will be clashes with existing applications already running on Azure. Okay, so if you, for example, choose the same name as I will choose for my application, there will be a collision in the world. So, yes, Carlos.
Doctor, just before we go on, I didn't quite get how to open the response of the server, because I'm trying to open the link in my browser, but it's not showing anything.
Let's hear. Did you use that address?
So I don't have that address, I think.
You should, because if you execute this piece of code, the result of this says that it's you have something serving on Flask, and well, we are not debugging, and then it's running on this. This is the port where the server is listening to, and this is the address where it is putting the results.
No, it is not running for me.
Run
Can
it.
I show you my screen? Or
Yes, of course. I'm going to stop sharing mine. Let me just find my way because I always get lost here. Now, yes, now you can.
so I went all the way toward this step. And let me close this. And everything was good until here. I tried to run the example, but no.
It's running.
But I can't find the link.
Yeah, because there's a problem there. Don't move so fast.
Okay.
Okay. Wait. Python. Stop it and run it again, please. Wait a second so that it really stops. It's still running. Stop it. Now. Okay, stop. Now run it again. And now, can you move up? Yes. There. Wait. Production deployment. Running. Okay. There's an exception. And I don't know why. Are you sure that you executed everything up on the previous?
Yes.
Okay. Wait. Slowly. Okay. Done. The authentication. Stop. Okay, that's your authentication token. Good. You have your application cloned. Yes. Here. You are in the Hello Python. Okay. Now go to 9 and 10. Successfully installed. Right. Okay. Move forward, please. And now we're here. Okay. And you're sure that you really copied correctly the token?
Yes, I didn't copy it manually. I actually used the auto copy option.
Okay.
Yes, I use this button here and I replace it with
your
this.
in here, yeah. And then go down, up. Down. Curl, okay, clone. Go further to 9. Now I would like to see 10 completely. And further, please. So let's have a look at your exception. Now we have your exception. What will it? Okay. Okay. And did you connect to your Azure account?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Actually, I haven't.
Yes, you have. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Can you send me, put it on Slack, please, a copy of this piece of either copy
Until.
or
Do you want everything or until what part?
I mean the execution, the execution of this cell with the exceptions that you get. So that because another problem is that I see, I wear glasses. So I'm not sure I'm understanding everything of what's happening. No, put it on Slack rather. Slack.
I don't know
No,
how
not
to
there.
open Slack.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to put the link here. Here is a link, and I'm going to put it on the chat. And I will have a look while the others go on with the exercise. Okay. So this
Charlie,
is Slack. And Armando has the same problem. Okay. So I will use
¿Qué pasó, Paco?
his code to see closer, and I will come back to you. Meanwhile, I'm going to go a little bit further just to show the others how to install on Azure, and I come back to the problem. Okay?
I already sent the text.
Yeah, I've seen. Thank you. I have it here. Yeah, your problem is with the Flask server, but I have to see closer what's going on. Yeah. Okay, so can you stop sharing the screen so that I can show how to install, and then I come back to both of you that are having problems. Excellent, thank you. How much time do we have so that I can okay, we have 10 minutes. Right. Okay, while we solve the little problem that your colleagues are having, so for those that have already tested this, we are going to see how to deploy the application on Azure. And what I was saying is that you need to name it with a unique name. So we'll choose a name here. I'm going to use my lab ID to make it unique. You can use, for example, your ID or whatever you prefer. So I have defined this name for my application. So note that the application will be accessible in a URL like this. your application name and then .azurewebsites.net. That's what you are going to find your app. So I'm going to define this. I'm asking Azure to upload, to deploy my sample, okay? I'll name it with the name I have defined. Can take a little moment. While I'm trying to see what happens, another solution is that you start over again and you re-execute all the cells, all the previous cells until there where you have the problem. So it takes a little while. Now, while it is finishing to deploy and that we can see, there will, well, this is, it's laborious to do, but it's a kind of simple thing to do, but there are many aspects that I want to make sure that you understand. And at the very end of a lot of things that we still have to do, there is a section called to hand in the specification of the exercise. And there are 3 tasks that I'm going to, that I'm asking you to do. 2 of them are the following. Draw a functional architecture showing how the different Google and Azure services are communicating together in order to execute your app. Functional architecture, for those that do not remember what it is a set of components that are represented as boxes, as labeled boxes, and then interacting through arrows where you say whether it's an input or an output arrow and what it comes into the component and what comes out of the component. Okay. So that's a functional architecture. You can choose to use the UML to draw it, or you can draw it in an empirical manner with little boxes that represent the components. So the idea is that, and well, it's a kind of a lot of work, but we are going to do it together and then interacting so that we make sure that you have a clear idea. So for the next time, what I'm going to ask you to do is draw this first architecture, okay? The one that shows how Azure is hosting your application, what is the role of Collab there, and how you access it on the web. Okay. So the very challenge to understand is particularly, for example, the role of the web in all this. But in that way, we will make sure that you really have the right picture of it. And then, since we are using the cloud, so besides naming your components, I want you to tag your components saying what is ASS or PASS or SAS. So that's one type of activity. This is you can prepare it for the next time. Then other things that we will do, but this will come later on once we will have completed the exercise, is draw the different processes that we have executed in order to do this implementation and deployment of the application. And then at the very end, you have to compare what we did and what is proposed by the Azure tutorial. And another thing that you can also start preparing is a glossary with all the vocabulary that we are using. And what is ngrok, what is Flask, what is CLI, what is a notebook, what is a magic, what is etc. Okay, so all the vocabulary that you consider that it would be important for someone stepping on this type of exercise that would be useful in order to understand. Okay, so let's see if this has finished. It has. So in order to test, and so this is, well, this is my the URL where my application is running. Okay, so I named it with, this is my UDLAP ID, and then I said it's a sample file from Azure App Service, but this is what it would change in your cases. And if you click on it, now it went out of the closet, as I said, and now it's on the web. And it's the first time takes a little while because it's it is preparing everything so that we can see. And there it is. So in the almost 10 minutes that remain in the lab, I want you to independently have a look at the way you manage your app, and particularly perform this while I see the problems of your colleagues. We are going to modify the application. Okay, so once you have the application, it is deployed, and now what happens if I want to modify my code? Okay, my application. So there you see how you modify, and then how you refresh the code and the installed version of your application so that you can see the changes. Okay, so please do this redeploy update, and meanwhile I'm going to stop sharing so that I can have a look at the in the right size in the exception of your colleagues. So I'm going to Slack, and if others are having problems, you can follow us in Slack. I'm going to put to interact with you on Slack. So I'm going to stop sharing. How do I stop sharing? I always forget. Sorry. This is stop sharing. Okay. I am writing on Slack well, we're going, those that are having problems, we're going to start over again. So I'm telling you how to stop the collab session so that you can re-execute. See my messages on Slack, please. So essentially what I'm saying is go to the, what is my browser here? Go to the menu on Collab and you will see execution or runtime if you are working in English. And then almost at the very end, it says stop execution or something like this. My version is in French. This is why I'm not sure about the right name of your menu. Hi, Nicole, tell me.
Hi, teacher. I ran into a problem on line number 24.
I can, your lines do not correspond to mine.
Okay,
So
well, it's the line of the deploy sample with the app
deploy.
name. Exactly.
Okay. The one that you are going to deploy it on Azure. Okay.
Yeah, and I have
Right.
the message turns out that it's an operation return an invalid status unauthorized. So I don't know what's happening there.
Maybe it's because of the name.
I mean, if you want, I
Have
can
to
send you
change the
the
name.
things on the Slack.
Yes, I believe that if you use the same name that the one is in your, that is shown in my example. So if you named your application as sample Python, Azure, etc., this is the problem because
I
two
put
or
a
three
different
people.
name.
You put a different name.
I put a different name, and it still gives me this problem.
Okay, so I'm waiting to see on Slack your line, and there is someone else also having problems unauthorized. Unauthorized, and you are sure that you activated your Azure with your account.
Yes, I'm sure.
A lot of lines before. Okay. Okay, I am having a look. The web app doesn't exist. Unauthorized. Okay. Since we're a little bit running out of time, what you're going to do is on the upper part of Collab, you have an icon saying share. Can you share your notebook with me? So you
Yes.
copy
Do
the
you want me to
link.
put it on Slack?
Yes, please. So say,
Okay.
well, I will see that it's you. And those that all those that are having problems, please do the same so that I can enter to your to your notebook and have a look closely, and I will come back to you on Slack for solving the problems. Okay, did you get what I'm asking you to do?
Yes,
Well,
I
Nicole has
already
already got it
published it.
because
Yes.
yes, I've seen. I believe that there were other people having problems. Please share it on Slack, because this session will, I'm not sure whether it keeps the chat. So I need you to use Slack. David, please. And Garrett, if you are having problems, please put your, share your, the link of your notebook on Slack. And Carlos and I don't remember who else were having the other problem. Please do the same. So all those that are having problems, any problem, maybe some different problem of the ones came up until now, please send your notebook URL so that I can have a look. Thank you, Gary.
Doctor, may I say something quickly?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I don't know if anyone's have the same problem, but sometimes if you have not verified your what's the name? ngrok account,
Yes,
you have trouble following the
with token.
the rest of the notebook. So if you have not
This is a
you have-
nice hint.
yeah, because if you have not verified your
Thank you.
account, you will not be able to
Hi.
continue.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And
right.
what I did is
Thank you.
I just verified my account, and also I changed my auth token, and that helped me.
And then it worked.
Yes.
Excellent hint. Thank you. So did those that are having problems got what he said? Okay. No, but Nicole, you are having another problem, I think. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to wrap up this session here. As I said, those that are having problems, I will come back to you on Slack to solve the problems. And for the next time, we are going to have a look on how to modify the application. And then we will have a look on the resources that we are using. However, those that manage to deploy the application on Azure, you have to stop it. Otherwise, it will consume resources. Okay, so those that manage to install and see their application on Azure, please follow the instructions that are described in number 4, clean up the resources. This is capital to do, otherwise you will consume your credits.
Excuse me, could you repeat that? Do we do that after we finished?
Yes, if those that manage to install the application on Azure and see the application like mine, you know, your ID, etc. So the one that was really deployed on Azure, if you manage to do this, you have to stop everything. Otherwise, you will consume resources and you end your credits. Okay, you expire your. I mean, you consume all your credits. So in order to do that, you go to the site of the exercise and you go to number 4 to the section clean up resources.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then, well, I know that there is no the complete line, but the complete line is at the very end of the Collab. It says clean up resources, and you say Azure group delete yes, and so it will clear your application. But this is important in order to avoid. consuming everything in just one try. Yes, please, Mauricio.
Hello, teacher. I just
Hi.
want to remind that, well, the class ends 11:40, so we still have time. Don't.
Right, because this is the lab. Thank you. I
Yes,
get mixed up with the other one. Oh, I'm happy. Thank you.
yeah, no problem, teacher.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I let you. What I'm going for those that managed to install before you clean up. Sorry for this. We
So,
are going to have a look to some things on Azure. So go to your Azure portal. Is this my portal?
so should I stop the
No.
cleanup?
No. Don't stop. Before you stop, go to your Azure portal, please. And I don't know why I cannot access mine. It's a great thing to do. Okay. So I'm going to guide you like this, and then I just let me see what's going on with this. Just give me 1 second and I come back to you. Let me just sign into the Azure thing, and I come back with you for questions. Okay. Now I'm ready for questions. I think that there was someone with questions.
It's not a question, doctor. Actually, I was just gonna say that the thing that my classmate said, Francisco, about the verifying the Yengrok account, I did it and it actually worked. Now I could run the service, and now
Sorry.
everything is great now.
Excellent. And have you already deployed it on Azure?
I am doing it right
And
now.
you're doing it. Okay. Great.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. For credits, give him Azure credits. Since here is everything pay as you go. So, okay. So for those again that have their application running on Azure, I'm going to share my screen. Just coming. My screen. Yes. So go to your Azure portal, and you will, well, you land in something that I think that you already know, and go to App Services. And if you go to App Services and your application is already running and you have already deployed it on Azure, you will see it here. So it's running. It's located in the South Central region of the US. It's free. It's your subscription is a free subscription. Well, this is my ID. You should have yours. The subscription is Azure for Students, and the application type is well, you have other options there. Okay, so if you have many applications, of course, you have them here. And if you have a look at the menu here, in fact, this is a control menu. You can refresh, you can manage your views, you can stop your application. Here, here it's easier to see. You see, you can start your application, restart your application, stop your application. So this is a management interface that lets you control your applications from the Azure portal. So that's one thing. And here you see it says what is the domain that actually was accepted so that I could have this account. Then if you go back to home and you go to resource groups, I wanted to you to have a look here. Oh yes, and I forgot. Sorry. No, I wanted to show you another thing before. Sorry. What is my portal? I have thousands of, as you can see. Yes, here it is. Sorry, go back to before we have a look at other things. If you click on your application, there you have a lot of information about it, and there you can do some operations. So, well, this is me. It's running. Where is it in the data center? Where it is running. I could, for example, change my subscription and have another type of subscription. This is the URL where my application is running. I have not configured a health check for my application, but I could, etc. Well, it says whether I used FTP in order to deploy it or not, etc. So here you have like you can have diagnosis of problems, and this is interesting. This is telling us what it is consuming. Sorry. Okay, so this is the status of the HTTP communication, the data that are going through and back and forth from our application, the data input and output. So these are the stats, the number of requests that have been executed, and the average response time. So all the metering of the execution of this application. Interesting, no? It's great thing to do this. So that was one thing, and then we can clean up. Oh yes, no, I wanted to show you the other thing that was the resources. So if you go back home and you get to resources group, and you go to your app, there again you have your an overview of the resources that you are consuming, which was what I showed you previously. Two ways of having a look and controlling your application. Of course, if you're the manager and you decide that you don't want to execute this for some reason, then you can do it from here. Yes.
Yes, teacher, I have a question. So now that we have our application running in Azure, other people can see it, or
Yes, if you share
ah,
your address, the URL,
oh, okay, I see.
it's everything. Yes, this is why it's cool.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that is why we use Azure, so we can host it
And yes, I
and
mean,
run
so
it.
that when you deploy it on Azure, now, as I said, it goes out of the closet and now everyone can see it in the world.
Oh, okay, okay. I see, I see.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this is why now it's counting, you see, because now the Azure cloud is having a look on how it is running, which are the requests that are coming, how many are there, how is our application responding, how much data it is producing. Well, this is a hello world, no? But imagine that it was really computing things, then it would tell us how many cycles, CPU cycles it is executing, it is consuming. If it was storing things on on a server, it would say how many data are going to a specific data store, etc. Everything. This all the machinery that makes it possible for our application to run would be counted in by Azure. Even if our some imagine that you had a store in Google, no? So it would count the number of requests that your application running in Azure would be doing by going out of the of Azure and connecting to another server. And everything counts in money too. So the idea of these statistics is, of course, to understand how our application is consuming resources, but it is also to help us estimate how much money does it cost to run our application. Because in that way we can decide, imagine that we didn't have this student's account, but we really have a subscription. So in that way we could decide whether we need to move up to a more powerful subscription or not, to add, CPU, or to add storage or whatever.
Okay. And
You
for
see?
example, the ngrok is the
Mhm.
server size. It. I don't know what ngrok does.
ngrok lets you, it's an authentication support that lets requests, that lets your application do requests on the web. You see, because your server is running and is listening in a port. The problem with the port is that, well, you need to be authenticated in order to access to this port. And then Grok does this work, this authentication work.
Okay, and the server is in Azure, right?
Yes.
Okay, just that I have to map
Yes.
all the process.
Yes, I mean, once we will end up with this, we will go through every step, you see, because we have to draw, the processes and everything, and so we will discuss together the role of every component so that you can finally have the right picture of the different components.
Okay, so for next class, we have to do all the points or only
Now,
the
for
first
the
one?
next class, the only thing that I'm asking you to come with an initial idea of the functional architecture, identifying the different components that we are using, where do they lie, and what type of service are they.
Okay, for next class is the next lab session, right?
On Monday, Tuesday, no?
Tuesday. Okay,
Tuesday.
be sure.
Yes, Tuesday. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a secret. I didn't know that the laboratory was only 2 units. So I had planned to go much more faster, but then I realized that, in fact, the idea is really to work together in the session, etc. So I'm like kind of reorganizing the activity so that we can do all of the, I mean, the tasks at the end you will have to hand in, but that we do them together and discuss them together so that everyone manages to figure out what's going on.
I like that. Okay.
Because since I didn't know, I was starting to think about, projects and a lot of things, and then I realized that 2 units, it's 2 units. So, but anyway, we will do many other things and examples of this. And again, the idea will be really to do them together so that you really end up with a good picture of all these little things. Okay, so if you have, for those that have seen this, now you can, please follow well, I will not modify the application, but you can check also the logs from Collab. So that was the last thing. So here you have more or less the same information, but in a not very fancy manner.
Doctor,
So tell me.
yeah, on the logs, are we actually seeing the connections of our application, or what logs
Sure.
are we actually seeing?
The logs here is all the consumption of your application running. So for example, here you see here I stopped producing something. So in some previous moments, sorry. No, now it's no longer. It even has a problem. Let's try to execute and go back here. Anyway, so yes, we are having a look at the HTTP connections that it has, the data that is coming in, the data that is coming out, etc. So all the functioning behind the application that we installed.
Oh, okay.
Was
And
you see?
yes, yeah, I see the spike in data in and data out. Okay.
Yeah, and but the idea is that you understand that everything that is being shown here is the consumption of the little Python application that it's running now in your Azure space. That's the important message to get. So even if it's a very simple thing, it is still producing and consuming data. It is still receiving requests, etc., because the server is continuously running, right? So even if nothing is happening from the outside, since it's still running and it's still showing the result of hello something in the browser, so it is still producing data. And so it's
Yes.
consuming resources.
Yes. And last question. You said that in order to stop the consumption of resources, we just need to click the stop button, right? To stop the service.
You need to do more than that. So I'm going to show this now. So now I stop this observation of the log in my notebook. And now, once I've done this, I'm going to execute this instruction, which will delete my application and everything that is together running on Azure. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show you what happens. So I'll do this. takes some time, but I hope that still have some little minutes. So this instruction, what it's doing is everything what I installed for the application and I deployed it on Azure, it's going to be deleted. And I will no longer be consuming anything. Just take some minutes. So if you have executed this, if you go back here and you have a look at your resources, the application will no longer be there. Now it's still there because it's still working, but when it finishes, you will not longer see this. There will be no application deployed anymore on Azure. So I'm hoping that it, yes.
So teacher, the stop button, what does it do in the
It stops the execution of, it stops executing a process. Here we were contacting the log of Azure. So it was requesting information about what was going on in our applications. So if we restarted the application and was having a look, here we have the log or the operations being presented in this format. So it's a process that it was monitoring, contacting Azure and asking for information about what was going on with the execution of the application. And when we stop connecting to Azure and asking for this information.
Okay, but the application doesn't stop.
It runs, no.
Deletes.
There, it doesn't stop. No,
Okay.
it doesn't stop. It continues running. It's just that we are not pinging.
Okay, so the connection is like broke.
Like doing ping, no, to a server. What
Okay.
are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it tells you. And the process keeps asking, blah, 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 and it tells you. And when you stop, it stops pinging. And now it has finished, and I want to refresh. And now I have nothing. So it deletes everything that was deployed.
Dr. Son,
regarding this application. Yes.
Yeah, I just have a question. So what would be the difference between simply stopping the service and actually deleting all the resources? Like, are we saving resources?
If you stop the execution, do you mean stopping the execution?
Yeah, by simply, stopping the execution of the...
Then you only consume the space of your code, but not CPU. The only resource that your code will ask for is hosting the program, the Python program. So that's just what it does, but it doesn't count CPU or other and communication.
Okay, just storage, right?
Yeah, very little because it's some lines, no, but
yeah, it's just a Python file. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome. Other questions? Okay, so we are going to stop here. As I said, I will come back to those that still have problems on Slack so that we can solve them and you can complete this part. Next time, we will have a look to the functional architecture, etc. And with this, we will finalize this first example. So the idea of the example, I remind you, is showing how to externalize things and also how to identify the different services available in these two cloud providers. Okay, to see the notion of service, that it's there, that you use it, but without having a look behind of what's going on, and that it's transparent in order to do some acts. And then eventually in the course, for example, instead of having this server automatically provided by Collab, we will define the type of servers that we want to use, etc. Okay, so we will go back to the lower levels of the stack in order to configure our environments, but this will be later on. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this first exercise. I will meet you on Friday, and in the meantime, do not hesitate to interact, and if you still have other questions that suddenly come up while you are doing other things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day, doctor. Thank you.
Bye-bye.